Hello and welcome to 7 Days of Flesh and Blood with Chris Bewley. Now this week is a big one. We have the Legend Story Studios CEO, James White, with us. Such a pleasure, such a privilege. We're talking about dreams. We're talking about visions. We're talking about the world of wrath and everything in between. So get excited, get ready, and enjoy this amazing interview, well, I think so, with Mr. James White. Hello, Mr. White. How are you, man?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for inviting me on the show today. Super excited.
Man, such a privilege having you. And I must say, such a wonderful background. Where are you now? Are you at a Houston 10K or what's going on?
I wish. We are safely situated in the Legend Story Studios HQ in Auckland, New Zealand.
Oh, wow. Sounds like a very nice place. Awesome. Well, let's kick things off. And now this is a question I ask, well, all of our guests, but I feel like your answer might be a little more detailed. How have your last 7 days of Flesh and Blood been?
Well, interesting question. We had a really sweet draft on Friday, 2 drafts in fact of Monarch, which is something that all the fans will be able to enjoy in February-ish 2021. Monarch, yep. Listed on our website, if you had to dig through the upcoming products gallery, codename Monarch. That product is just looking incredible. A number of the people who have been doing the development of that have said that it's the most enjoyable draft experience yet. And yeah, I mean, we've put a lot of foresight into how the product evolves year on year, and I'm really confident that Monarch is by far the best Flesh and Blood product that will exist to date when we release it on the world. It's incredible. Well,
that'll be true for every Flesh and Blood product that's ever released, right? It'll be the best yet.
Well, that's always the goal. Just this one in particular is there's been a lot of setup for this particular release. We always knew that it would go Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, Crucible, and then into Monarch. That was always locked in from the beginning. So there's been a lot of seeds planted, and the fabric and the framework of the game has been very much designed to this major point, which is Monarch. And there's some really cool surprises in this product. A little bit more about our world will be revealed and discovered, and it really, yeah, just pulls together more scope which exists in the game, and for deck building and collecting in particular. So yeah, I think that people are going to love it.
Wow, Monarch. So is this your traditional booster set in the same vein of Arcane Rising and Welcome to Wrath?
Yeah, so it is a standalone product. It is designed to draft. It's designed for sealed deck. Of course, it'll have new heroes and weapons, and for constructed play as well. But yeah, when it is a standalone set, and it has a huge amount of development work put in it for the limited formats.
Wow, cool, awesome. Well, that sounds very, very exciting. What else have you guys been up to, or well, you specifically, just drafting?
Oh, as far as playing Flesh and Blood goes, it's for me, I have a lot of responsibility outside of playing the game for Flesh and Blood. I gotta take care of the business side of the business. So the last 7 days have been just a lot of nitty-gritty business.
Yeah.
And yeah, whenever I can jump in to actually do some product development and join the dev team, of course I'm ecstatic to do that. And the rest of my downtime, it's really just, yeah, looking at the product development, future design, and things like that.
Wow, awesome. That's cool. Hey, I'm so excited to talk about the future of the product, but, you know, we have to go back and look at the past a little bit first. So word on the street, it was a 7-year sort of development of Flesh and Blood, give or take. But you know, I know a lot of people personally that have put steps into making games or even card games. Like everyone would love to design their own card game, but why and when did you actually pull the trigger on doing this? Do you remember like a singularity moment, a point of no return? What made you do it?
Yeah, sure. So it's a great question. Look, I've been playing games and in particular collecting cards since I was very, very young, like 4 years old. So it's always been a big part of my life, playing sort of classic card games from around that age, and collecting things like Garbage Pail Kids and WWF cards.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, man, and all that good stuff all through my childhood, right through to basketball cards in my sort of teenage years when that was like a huge thing globally. And it was from collecting basketball cards that I was in the card and comic stores, and
Yeah,
that's
bro.
when
It's the same.
yeah, I mean, you know the story. And, trading card games came along, Magic and all those. There was a bunch of products that hit the shelves around the same time in New Zealand anyway. And so it was like everything I liked sort of came together into one product. It had gaming, it was competitive, it was collectible, and so that's like was the beginning of my love for trading card game industry. I've always been a very creative person. I've always had a huge imagination. I've always liked just making up things and making up games, and as I say, my career has been very much involved with the trading card game industry for the entirety of my professional life. But I always had this urge that I wanted to create a game, to create a new IP, to really be in control of my destiny. There's a lot of great products out there that I've worked with over the years, and I really enjoyed working with these other publishers. But there's always limitations on what you can do, which is understandable. And a lot of these ideas and things that I wanted to do, I just needed to sort of be the captain of our own ship to be able to execute on some of these visions and some of these ideas that we had. The moment which really made me sort of commit to it was when my daughter was born, 2012, and I wanted to demonstrate to her that that you can follow your dreams, that it's worth trying. Even if you fail, it's worth trying. And to not just say that, but to show her as an example that you can set yourself big goals. You can have a burning, driving passion, and when you action on that, sometimes amazing things happen, and it's worth trying. For me, my value I try and instill in her is always try your best, and so that's really what drove me at that time to say, what, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it, and it's time to take the plunge. And yeah, we set a very, very long time scale to achieve the release of Flesh and Blood. We really wanted to take our time to get it right. And here we are, 8 years later now. Flesh and Blood is in the world, and so far so good.
Man, so far so good, all right. 7 years in the background, but of course the journey is absolutely just beginning, I think. Hey, how have things been going in the last 6 weeks in particular? Of course, in New Zealand, we've just come out of our 4-week level 4 lockdown. How has the worldwide pandemic affected Flesh and Blood?
Yeah, well, obviously it's awful. Very hard for a product which is based on people coming together in the flesh and blood to thrive in a climate of social distancing and forced business closure, and people being forced to stay at home and isolate. So they made it challenging. We are very grateful for the passion of the fans around the world. It seems that people aren't like, oh, it's over, I'm done. It's more like we just can't wait to get back into the stores. We can't wait to get back into organized play, and a lot of people are engaging with Flesh and Blood in the best way that they can, considering the circumstances, whether that's been playing using the online simulators or whether it's been just brewing at home and sort of doing the more sort of collectability part of what trading card games are about. So there's still been a ton of engagement, and we see a lot of anticipation from the fans around the world, just like really, really hungry to get back into playing tournaments and catching up with their friends again when it's safe to do so. We're very lucky that Arcane Rising pre-release weekend was just before sort of things got real nasty globally. So fans were able to get into the stores on pre-release weekend and get their hands on Arcane Rising and enjoy that during during the lockdown. I mean, for me personally, I really enjoyed just finally getting some time to sit down and open some packs and sort out my collection. And that was something that was really neat for me during lockdown. I think a lot of people were probably in the same boat.
Your collection.
Yeah, my collection. I got to get my cards just the same as everyone else. I got to crack some packs, mate.
Yeah, that urge will never go away, no matter how many or design by the looks of things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, look, I think it's going to be fine going forward. It's just, again, it's about being, being patient and understanding that the world is a bit different now. I think it's going to be just a matter of time, and as countries get on top of COVID and are able to open up, I think that we'll see, the great local game stores across the world start welcoming people back in controlled ways, and there'll be some, new expectations around hygiene, like hand sanitizing and things like that. And look, that's okay. I think that everyone can live with that. And when that starts to open up again, I think that people will come back. We're ready to roll with our OP programs. For us, our big goal this year is to see national champs run in as many countries as possible. I think that will be a great goal to achieve. We're ready to pull the trigger on that as soon as it's sort of safe and we have a little bit more reassurance from different governments around the world that it's going to be stable and safe to make some announcements about dates and locations.
Awesome. Exciting stuff. That is very cool. And I'm sure not too far away for these exciting announcements. Cool. Well, hey, can you tell us a little bit about the stuff that we would never know? So I'm interested in, like, why Brussels to print the cards, and how did you choose that exact border to put around the Ranger part? And what about all these little things that we would never ever even think about, the intricate parts of the process? Can you tell us anything and everything that we would never even think of?
I mean, there's just too much. We'd have to have a 7-day interview session to go into all the nitty-gritty, but a couple of these things I can definitely touch on. I mean, the Belgium printing one is an easy one. It is the best printer in the world for collectible cards. So it was just a no-brainer for us. We want Flesh and Blood to be a contemporary collectible, and we had to go to the best. It's been incredible working with Card and Windy. Learned so much. They provide a lot of support. Very pleased with the product quality. And yeah, we'll continue to work with Card and Windy for a long time, I believe. Card frames, yeah, labor of love. Just an incredible amount of time and effort gone into the card frames. For the original, yeah, for the Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising frames, it was probably 4 months just on card frames at least. Just we're very, very particular about getting the look and the feel of the game, in that right spot. And yeah, our in-house lead concept artist, MJ, done an incredible job. And yeah, about the Ranger frame, I think, so what's going on in that particular frame is we really wanted to capture the curvature of the bow. If you, it has sort of a line which represents the string of the bow. It sort of runs vertical, and then you get sort of the tail feathers of the arrow sort of integrated into a section of the frame as well. So we try and like capture the sort of key essence or imagery, something related to each of the classes, and get that into the frame somehow in a subtle and elegant way.
Wow, yeah, and
Yeah,
it's very apparent the detail and that sort of that feel, that essence, that flavor of each character or hero. It's awesome.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite border?
Mm, do I have a favorite border?
Oh, that one in
I just
that
I
one in
love.
Monarch,
Huh?
that one in Monarch that you. What's that one in Monarch that you were gonna?
Oh, that's right. That
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Do you hear that, everybody?
Yeah, like I love a lot of the frames. I really do. I think maybe the monastery frame, like Viserys frame, I think is incredible. Big fan of that one. Yeah, there's I like a lot of them. I really do.
That's cool. Well, hey, a little bit more about the art side of stuff. Of course, when you just talked about Big Vis, I just thought about Big Steve Argyle.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, like a question about sort of Steve and all the artists. How much kind of, I don't know, creative control or how much direction do you give them? Do you give them a brief, this is the card, this is the character? As far as the art goes, how does that work? The art process, and how do you get to the end product?
Yeah, so we have an art director or creative director, and he writes an art description for every single piece of art that goes out, and it's quite detailed. Um, Sometimes some reference images are provided, not always, but sometimes, and that often is actually sketched and drawn by MJ, in-house concept artist. So and also there's a world guide provided to the artists as well. So there is quite a bit of direction and guidance provided to the artists. That's in the most part. From time to time, an artist will be given quite an open scope that they're able to explore. But yeah, it's very much a back and forth process as well between the artist and our creative director. Just that the process goes through many phases of having to submit sketches, then colorings, then refinement, and then the refinement process very often is very iterative. So it might go back and forth, 5 times, 10 times to get it to that point where it's you know meets their expectations. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. And how did you get in touch with Mr. Argyle? Very, very well-renowned artist, well-renowned artist.
Yeah,
He's painted Liliana of the Vale, if you didn't know that, everybody. And if you don't know who she is, well, don't worry about it. But how did you hook up with her?
yeah. Was a great honor to be able to work with Steve, and yeah, it happened because he came to New Zealand for a Magic Grand Prix quite a few years back, and had the pleasure of spending a day with Steve and his partner Kat, and we went and saw a lot of really sweet things in Auckland. Did the touristy things and saw some beautiful parts of Auckland, and just got to know each other and talked about art and talked about this thing that we were working on and hopefully would come to fruition sometime down the road. And yeah, he was super supportive and wished us the very best, and it all sort of just came together from there. I mean, it's incredible to be able to have Steve Argyle as the illustrator of one of our flagship heroes.
Very cool. Yeah, yeah. Man, we could talk about the art side of stuff for a long, long time, but let's talk about like the game effect, the card effects, and the mechanics of the game. So how does the actual design of a set? Yeah, let's talk about a whole set together, because one card alone, I'm kind of guessing that you don't design each single card in a vacuum. They all interact very well with other cards. Can you give us a bit of a start to finish, or how do the cards for a set get designed? How does it work? The testing? Do you do the art first and then the mechanics, or vice versa? How do you make a card?
Yeah, so great question. And sort of that process it does vary depending on what the sort of some goals are of the product. So, for example, Welcome to Wraith was very much about introducing the game to the world and the fundamentals to the world. We really wanted that product to showcase the spectrum of the melee classes of the game. So you got Katsu down at the low end of the curve, with his little, fast and agile go-agains, and then you got Bravo at the top end of the curve with, his big powerful attacks and expensive stuff, but not much go-again. And then you have sort of Rhino at that midpoint, and then you have Dorinthia as this hero which showcases the reaction step. So that was like very much the goal for Welcome to Wraith, and then just making everything balanced and to be able to play off against each other well within that very small card pool of 4 heroes and 226 cards. Moving on to Arcane Rising, it had this vision that was driving it from the beginning that this is about introducing, the magical element of into the game. So like everything had to be designed to support arcane damage existing in the game system. And a lot of that has to do with limited. One of the sad things about COVID is we've lost a lot of that season that would have been players enjoying playing Seal Deck and Booster Draft of Arcane Rising. It's sad because we put so much work into the draft format for Arcane Rising. But I do hope that there will be opportunity once people can go back to stores to really engage with Arcane Rising Booster Draft. It's really incredible. I think it's a lot better than Welcome to Wraith. And Welcome to Wraith was pretty good, but Arcane Rising is really, really good.
Yeah.
But a lot of
play some Wizard in a draft.
Wizard is incredibly good. And as we go forward, like just the sort of metrics for what we're trying to achieve with each product changes. So, for example, Monarch is much more about bringing some threads of our lore together. Is much more of a story element to Monarch, which is leading on from what the world will see with Crucible. Crucible of War is prepare for war. Monarch is very much the war, and it is a lot more story driven. But we're very mindful that we don't want to compromise, playability. To serve story. Like we really don't want to get too far down that pathway. Some other games do, but it definitely does have a lot more influence around the design, the structure of the product, support this narrative that we want to tell through the larger IP. And then as we go further forward into the future, sort of the goals of the set change, where it's not maybe so much about the story, but it's about something different. And then that is a big driver behind how we structure the product, the configuration, the kind of feel, the kind of gameplay that starts coming through. So yeah, it really does start from a broader vision. And then once you start drilling down into more of the nitty gritty, like Limited has a huge influence on the overall sort of mechanics or balancing of the individual cards. Yeah. I think the mechanics are probably more driven by the class. Like we've established some baselines for what the classes are about. Like Groot, he's about 6 power. Guardian, he's about things that cost 3 or more. With some things around the side like his auras and huge attacks that debuff the opponent. Warriors are about their weapons and buffing their weapons and that point of engagement in combat, whereas like I'm attacking you when you've like engaged me, so now I'm like I get some effect turned on at that point of engagement, which is what Reprise is about. And obviously Ninja, which is very, very much based on go again and being fast, being agile, and synergy. It's about the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. When you get those synergies, your combos like running into each other, you unleash a greater power. from your offense. Obviously, Runeblade is about that hybridness, getting that integration between your melee and your your non-attacks, and so on. So like we know what each of the classes are, and they're very much, the class drives the mechanic, limited and a huge part drives the actual balancing and the end result of each individual card. And then obviously we put a lot into constructed as well to make sure that things are well positioned for constructed. A lot of the higher rarity cards in particular, most of the higher rarity cards are designed and stress tested more on constructed, where the commons and the rares are more probably have a heavier influence in their function and support for draft and seal deck.
Awesome, man. That is a really cool way to do it. Hey, how many more questions have we got up our sleeves?
Yeah, maybe a couple more, mate. Yeah, you're good for a couple more.
All right. Well,
easier to talk to you.
Oh, what? Wow. Yeah, no. Ask Money Gardwell about that one. Now, here's a good question. Let's just put it out there. Did you come close to genuinely giving up Flesh and Blood at any point?
Mate, I never give up on things that I believe in, but it was hard. There were times where it took some real deep soul searching and digging to just keep pushing forward and to get this thing over the line. It was tough, but just never, ever for 1 second did I ever think about giving up.
That's some powerful words. That's awesome. All right, we got two more, I think. We got two more. Oh yeah, this is a big one that I've been thinking about, and I know you're probably not going to answer this the way I want you to, but this is like a vice versa question again. So, are there things in the game sort of that the players have discovered or done, or styles of play? Are there things that the players have found that Legend Story Studios hasn't found? And is there something glaringly obvious that we haven't found?
Yeah, so to answer the first question, the answer is no, not yet. Not yet, anyway.
So the dash deck is okay?
We're very aware of these controlling fatigue type decks. We're very aware of the deck that Sasha won Orc and 10K with, the Katsu Control drone deck. A large part of why Command and Conquer exists is because of those sorts of strategies. There's no real, honestly, there's not really anything that's come out yet which is surprising. I think that people, they're like making some cool decks. Maybe decks that we didn't play a ton with in development, but
they suck.
Well, no, it's just like they just do interesting things. I think it's more surprising some of the decks that just aren't very popular or haven't got the results yet that we kind of expected. In particular, in Welcome to Wraith Only format, Rhino never really got the results that we expected. But in hindsight, I think it's not surprising. It's quite hard to I think work out how he is supposed to fit into the metagame. And it's just way easier to punish people with your onboard hit triggers and Mask of Momentum and Dorinthia's hero ability, whereas Rhino just it takes a lot of work to get value compared to Mask of Momentum, where you just get to punish bad mistakes, bad blocks, and just free roll some wins. To be honest, so it's understandable, but Rhino he is very, very strong in Welcome to Wraith Only format. The same in the current format. I think Wizard, I think Kano was underplayed. I think he's maybe a little bit misunderstood. And I know that there's at least one person who's starting to work it out. that I'm aware of. I think that people should maybe not quite don't underestimate Kano. I think he's much better than he's getting credit for at the moment.
Yeah, I think so too. Any tips for us about the man with the red eye? No, wait, wrong, Kano. Any tips for us about Kano the Wizard? Or is that for us to figure out?
Yeah, I think the key for Kano is just understanding that it's really okay to play the game at sorcery speed. You know, it's okay to play at action speed for the majority of the game. Is a really important part. Just because he has this ability that you can activate as an instant to maybe cheese them on their turn doesn't mean that you have to use it. He's a hero that you can play much more, just defend, play an action on my turn, pass, rinse and repeat until you get your windows. It's really about understanding when your windows are and using his hero ability when you are given those windows. There's different play styles for Kano as well. Like some of our developers, they like to play 100% non-attack action cards. So, with the exception of VII because it's crazy in Kano deck, but so that when you activate them, you're always hitting. From my personal experience, and I play Kano a lot, I don't like that kind of playstyle for Kano. For me, when I activate Kano, when I reveal a very low impact blue card like blue Scalding Rain, for example, or even
a lot of mana.
Yeah, even blue, Reverberate, or a card like this. Even blue Zap, like these cards here, like you activate Kano when you reveal those cards, and they just don't have very much impact on the game. For me, it's nearly the same as just revealing a card that isn't a non-attack action card.
Why do it?
So for me personally, I would prefer that my blue cards were more impactful on the game. And yeah, it's very okay to just play with cards that don't interact with Kano's hero ability. Like attack actions, like defense reactions. It is very okay to play with those cards, but you really gotta work out how you like playing the game, and then build decks and craft strategies that support that kind of play style. I think that's the most important thing. Like once you actually understand what your game plan is, and you really put a lot of work into optimizing it, and then stick with that. Because if I picked up a deck like some of the devs like to play, I'm just going to lose, and vice versa. They don't understand why I like to play certain cards in my decks, but for me it works and I win a lot. For them it works and maybe they win a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing you say that. It's quite comforting that you say choose what suits you best, or what you like, or what you're good at, and go with it. Because that's what some of the current top players of the game have been saying as well. So it's nice to hear you say it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, look, people sometimes think that we have this gauntlet of decks internally in our dev team. It's like, this is how you should build Katsu or Kano or whatever. It's just not like that at all. It's like there's quite a lot of divergence on philosophy inside the company on how you should build the decks. And it really comes down to the point of you need to understand what your game plan is against the range of matchups that you can possibly play against. And you should put cards in your deck that fit your play style and your strategies. And just understand what the role of each card is. Like that's the most important thing. And if you came to Legends Story Studios, you'll see that each of the devs have their own take on most heroes. There might be one or two that we reach a point of consensus on, but in the most part, there's quite a variance on how the decks are built.
That's good for the game. That's good for the design, though. Hey, far out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, a little bit, the last 1.5 questions now. Speaking of Kano and Katsu, and anybody in particular, have any of the appearances of the characters or their names, are they based on anybody? Like Kano looks suspiciously familiar, and sometimes Katsu does too. Are they based on anybody?
There's only so look, first of all, we put a huge amount of work into the lore that sits underneath the game system. As most people know, we published a book. We'll have future books come out in down the line. Our creative director Robbie, he has written, the framework of the history of the Water of Wraith, going hundreds of years into the past from the time when Welcome to Wraith takes place, and hundreds of years into the future. So like a lot of the naming conventions and the look and the feel, it's come from the development of this underlying lore that Robbie and myself sort of talked out over a number of years, and he went through the process of documenting it. So yeah, a lot of the characterization and the themes and the look and the feel and the names, it is related to that. So far there's one hero which has been made in honor of somebody, which was for my grandma, Dorothea. I'm sure you can guess which hero that is, and she's the person that got me started on my card career. She's the one that I was playing classic cards with from when I was, from a 4-year-old all through my childhood. I was playing cards with Nana. That got me into this whole thing. And she had a very big influence on my life as well. So yeah, Dorinthia is for my grandma. She didn't look much like Dorinthia, but she was European. So she comes from Solana, which is obviously a European themed region. But yeah, Dorinthia is a little bit younger than Nana.
That's cool, man. That is so cool. Oh wow, yeah. Awesome. And just a small question to finish off. Can you please give us a spoiler?
Can I give you a spoiler? Crucible of War is really sweet, and it has lots of new weapons and equipment, and you're going to get to prepare your hero for war, and crank up that furnace, turn on the forge, and bang out some new. Some what?
Stormbreaker, Thor's latest weapon. Will that be making an appearance? Probably not.
Stormbreaker, you got Dawnblade, mate. How much more do you want?
Oh wow! I don't know if Marvel Studios will. Oh wait, can I say that about that upcoming code? Anyway, anything that you want to say, advise us of, warn us of, or share with us before we say thank you and goodbye?
I just would like to thank the incredible passion of the community. The driving vision behind Flesh and Blood is to bring people together in the flesh and blood through the common language of playing great games, and seeing the community grow and flourish and be full of so many wonderful people who are enjoying the game, they're enjoying the lore, they're enjoying collecting. This is what it's all about. It really, it's very touching, and it's heartwarming to see people coming together through this common language, which is flesh and blood. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for maintaining the belief during this really rare and challenging time in the history of our world. And don't give up. We're going to be around for a very long time. We've put 7 years into the development of the game, but also into the development of the company, and we're in great shape. We're really strong. We're going to come out the other side of this, whether it's in the short term, the midterm, or whether it takes a long time. Like we're here. We're going to be sticking around for a long time. We've got some incredible products coming through the pipeline, and some OP that I think is going to get people really excited, both in the competitive level and some more more fun related OP as well, which will come through at some point. Obviously, COVID has kind of put the brakes on a lot of that stuff. So things that we were planning to do in Q4, based around more of this sort of fun thing, might have to get pushed back until next year, just so we can sort of clear some of the backlog with nationals and so on. But just, yeah, thank you for your belief and your patience, and we really look forward to seeing hundreds, thousands of fans playing the game in different tournaments across the world in the coming months and years. That's it.
Exciting stuff, and it's only just the beginning. Wow, very cool.
It is
awesome.
Yep.
Well, hey, thank you again so much. Genuinely, it's such a privilege and an honor being able to pick your brain and hear what you have to say and just chat together. So thank you very much, James White, CEO and Director of Legend Story Studios.
Thank you, Chris.
Welcome to 7 Days of Flesh and Blood with me, Chris Bewley. Now this week is a big one. We're talking dreams, past, present, future. We're talking visions. We're talking worlds. We're talking different dimensions. Actually, we don't talk about that at all. But this week we have possibly the best episode yet. It is with the director, visionary, sensei, head designer, I guess, and